Hello guys, my name is Akinwale Benjamin. I'm one of the newly admitted medical students to one of the greatest university, which is Obafemi Awolowo University. So in this video, I'll be briefing you on how you can actually pass your post-utme. So I hope this particular video should serve as a springboard to you in passing your exam. Now, you have to consider some particular terms or aspects in terms of the way you prepare for exam. Before you start preparation, you have to think of some factors. Now, there are two major factors every student should even know of that will even be involved in the process of our preparation. Now, the factors are the human factor and the God factor. Now, we are talking about the human factor. It just has to do with the people you relate with, how they bring, the way they impact into your own life. And the aspect of God should actually be your own relation with him. That's personal for you. Now, there are other aspects you also have. One of the aspects is based on your mindset. Now, what's your own mindset? Is it just that I want to write this exam, I want to pass and enter school, or you are aiming to be one of the best students out of all? Now, one of the mindsets I had at that moment was that it was even based on my JAMB score and so on. At least I wrote JAMB 3 times, I wrote WAEC 2 times, and I wrote the post-utme twice also. Now, during that preparation, the JAMB I wrote in 2022, I had 307. 307 over 400 is a very, very small score to study medicine in one of the greatest universities, which is OAU. Now, having that 307, it was like very, very extremely low. And the percentage of me getting admission was very low. That's like maybe 60% out of 100%. So now I determined that if I want to get this particular admission, I have to gather myself up and start reading very, very well. Now that was what actually led me to that. Let me go and check the previous years and all those stuff. So the second aspect you should now have is that you should be able to sit down. For you to create that mindset, you should sit down, look at the previous year exam, the rates at which people are passing, the trend of the cutoff and so on. These are some factors primaries to actually help you to break down. Now, so I checked the previous cutoff, and I think for the last 20 they also merged. We have batch A, we have batch B. Now I checked the trend. For the first batch, the cutoff was actually high, while for the second batch, the cutoff was also low. Now I checked, I was like, since I've been hearing the rumors that OAU may actually merge for this our coming set, so that means the cutoff should actually increase for our own set. And based on the rates at which people actually passed that year also, the cutoff should be high. Now, so I had the mindset that I had some particular score. At least the last batch B cutoff was 79 point something, while the batch A was 80 point something. So I knew that the range of that cutoff should be above 80 or so. So I calculated everything with my O-level. Like I said earlier, I wrote WAEC twice. The first one I had 8.0, the second I had 8.2. So it was really it is very dangerous to have that kind of stuff preparing for you, but we move on. Now, after that, I had the particular mindset that what I'll be aiming at is 40 over 40, because without that 40 over 40, I'm not really sure I can gain that admission. So that actually brings about my mindset. So my mindset is to have 40 over 40 in that particular post-utme that year for me to get that admission. And aside that, I was not having any other plan B or on writing JAMB again, because once you have that plan B that I'm writing JAMB again, the planning might not actually work. So you have to focus on the first plan entirely. Remove your mind from the second plan. Now from there, I started preparing. I did some particular preparation. So after that, I went to primaries. I told him everything. He also advised me, talked about everything, that these are the particular things you need to start reading for now. Now, but before we go on to that particular part, another thing is that I had some motivation, a form of motivation that actually pushed me to do more. So you should always have something. You don't wait for people to actually motivate you to do something. Have your own self-motivation. The self-motivation I had that time was actually due to my mom. My mom she always told me some story. She told me some story, not when I was very young. She said she wanted to study nursing, but some process, and you remember all those olden days, most of the fathers, they don't expect the mothers, the women, to go to school, the girls, while the boys should go to school. Now, so my mom was not able to go to school, but she was able to study She was able to become one of the auxiliary nurse that is in Nigeria, also like that. Now after that, I was looking at it that my mom is actually want to study this thing. That also bring about the motivation. And another thing, checking my background, I was saying that you are not really strong, nothing is not going well, like I have to be the one. So for the sake of my family, I have to do everything to get that particular course. So for the sake of my mother and my family, especially my mom, I have to focus on that. No, I must make a difference. I must come out as the first doctor from the Akinwale's family. So that determination was very, very high. So that keeps pushing me every time. I don't even wait for people motivation. I don't really have some people. The actual motivation I've ever had from a medical student is even from a UI, from UI University. So now that's the University of Ibadan. So that's the actual motivation I had, which was Dr. Peter. Now you must have watched some of his video on YouTube also. Now his own motivation was that he actually motivated me during my preparation for JAMB, because the first time I ever met someone having 320 plus was actually in primary, which was Dr. Peter, because I've never heard of it before. Having somebody having 320 plus, like wow, it was very, very much, because I was actually attending a particular tutorial then that the person had the highest that time was 303. So he used to hail everybody that no, this is a very strong score. But seeing him having 325, that also what motivated me, like no, you can do this. So but with everything I told you earlier, I had 307. So with everything, I was able to start the preparation. I went to primary, we talked about the right materials. Now I will say very well, you might say you are reading. You can read from now for like a year. You can read for a year, you can read for months. And in my right exam, I actually would fail that particular exam. The thing is that you have to sit down, am I reading the right materials? For an example now, you have somebody preparing for WAEC. The person went to go and carry holidays physics. Who does that? It's not possible. So you have to have that mind, like you have to go to someone that knows the particular materials, the right materials, the way you should place it down and read. So if you don't have the right materials, you start reading books that are beyond what you should know. You will get to exam, you see a simple question to come as a shock to you that why won't I know this one? It's something I know before. But because you already left all those simple parts, you will not be able to get that particular question. So I sat down, I prepared very well. My preparation was that I focused on all the O-level past questions I have. I think the LAMLAT generally, so LAMLAT remix, I had to finish all those on for the first week. So for the first week where our post-utme started, I have to finish everything first. So after completing that, I went to primary again that I'm through with all those particular O-levels that I told us to prepare to finish. Now after finishing that, he gave us some particular materials. So he gave us these materials, they were up to like 4 for our base subject. Now these materials, we were having some, like the questions there, like they were very new to me. They are not really new to, but you learn some new things there. So this is actually leading to that you should also go to tutorial to learn some new things. So that means if you are using all those kind of tests, you have to go to some tutorials, because you can't apply the knowledge you have for JAMB to some schools like OAU and what UI. You need new knowledge. You have to write some very, very, very wide knowledge to understand the way their question comes. So I opened the textbook, I was going through it, I was seeing it, it's like I've not heard of this thing before. Who is this, or what's this? But by the time it started class, everything was becoming very, very simple. Primary was able to break down everything with some, like the teachers themselves, there were some big graduates of OAU. You have people like you have tough teachers like that, they understand the basics of OAU, everything, what you need to read, how the question will come and so on. So I started the preparation and I learned many new things. So let me just brief this in. For an example now, in the aspect of your chemistry, in your JAMB preparation, you might not have heard of anything called ozonolysis. You might actually have read it before somewhere, you might have heard of it, but you might not understand the breakdown. There are some oxidation process like Jones oxidation now, you might not have heard of that before, but if you go to some particular tutorial, they'll be able to brief that in. So going to tutorial also brings about new knowledge. So you have to go to tutorial to gather some new knowledge. Now, so after the aspect of right materials, you have to cultivate the habit of reading. Like you have to be very consistent in the way you read. You have to be very, very consistent, because you can't just have the aspect of consistent. Now she just talk about the way you plan, the way you are going to be reading, breaking down the textbooks you have. Now I can remember very well, I'll just do this thing, but if you want to know more about it, you can actually get to primers. So you can just check the description below under the YouTube channel, then you can check there, you can see his number there. Now there's a way he broke everything down for me and so on. Now the textbooks were actually four. We have the chemistry, we have the physics, we have the biology, and the physics is having two types. The chemistry has two types. The biology is just what, one combined all together. Now this the textbook were up to like five, and I had to finish everything before post-utme, and it was like 2 months or thereabout to the post-utme. So I was like, how will I finish this textbook? Because from what I've been hearing everywhere, I've talked to some particular students that have left primary, the OAU one, the medical students. They said most of the questions I was always coming from the degree. That means if you can finish everything and you understand it, that's 100% certain that you still see some particular question. So my aim was to finish that with that particular textbook. I sat down, I checked the whole page. If I can remember very well, the one I used, the page for the physics was like 142 or thereabouts. For the second physics it was 101 or so, and for the biology it was 200 plus. So, and I checked very well, there's this particular amount of years that was there. I divide the years, I broke everything down. So I was able to break everything down like I can finish this test before the month ends. So in that 2 months, I should be able to complete all those textbooks. But I was able to complete just 4 out of all of them. The last aspect of the chemistry, which is the organic chemistry, that part is very, it's very enormous, very gigantic. So I could not finish it. So I left that part, but I got to average somehow. Now, so from there, the preparation was on, and you face some challenges down the show. Now, so let me just bring in the breakdown of the subjects you'll be doing. First thing you'll be doing, you have aptitude, you have biology, you have chemistry, and you have physics. Now, you can deal with the general form and the normal ones you have on your own. That's your chemistry, biology, physics, and so on. Now, but the aspect of aptitude, so this is when that will now bring about the way you relate, your environment. Because for you to do well with aptitude, you have to relate with most of your friends. That's the only way you can overcome aptitude, because aptitude is a general subject. In aptitude, you can have chemistry, you can have physics, you can have economics, you can have home economics, you can have any form of subject, quantitative reasoning, verbal reasoning, all those type of subjects you can have it in aptitude. So you have to be sitting down around people that you know that all these people are always ready to learn. So that brings in about your environment. So when you get to primary, places like primary now, you always see people reading. There is nothing concerned with another thing. Your aim is to pass your exam. When it's time for people to brainstorm, you sit down together, will brainstorm a little while. The teachers will stand in front, they'll be throwing questions, you brainstorm. So you need all those stuff. So when you start brainstorming and so on, that will actually help you to remember the aspect of your aptitude, especially your current affair in aptitude. So that's how you deal with your aptitude. And the aspect of chemistry, you have to go to tutorials to what? I already said that earlier. You have to go to tutorials to learn new things, because there are a lot of things you don't even know at all. That means right now I don't even know. So you have to learn and so on. I would have liked to break down the form of topics you have, but that would be for another section. So that's about that. Now, the next aspect is like now the final aspect you should even focus on is based on God factor. Now the aspect of God factor is that generally you already have the whole materials, that means you should pass. But if God says you did not pass, that means you are not passing. So you have to put everything in front of God. Put it down like God, I already worked, because you have to work before you pass. You work and pray. Because according to one of the wisest men in the Bible, Solomon, so you don't lean on you don't rely on your own knowledge alone. But I can remember that verse, but I can't even remember. But that verse interpreted that you don't rely on your own knowledge alone. If you rely on your own knowledge alone, it's like you are going to fall in that process. You may actually fall. So God should actually be the last factor, and you should always be ready to sacrifice anything. Because I sacrifice I sacrifice time, I don't cook, I don't do anything. So you need time again. You need time. 24 hours of your daily living should be based on your book for the preparation of the post-utme. So 24 hours in general. So that was how I was able to overcome the post-utme and so on. And I hope this particular video will serve as a springboard to you in passing your exam. So that's all I could say for now. But you can check the next section. I'll brief in again. So thank you.